What's up, IGL fam? It's episode 4 of Tnow Talks. This is a very special episode because we have two guests, Neato Queen and Black Widow, join me for the episode. We've also implemented a new feature. Check the track bar at the bottom of the video. You can click on specific segments to see particular topics that we talk about in each timing space there. So if you're interested in one particular topic, make sure to take advantage of that. Enjoy the episode. What's going on, everyone? Commissioner Tnow here with the legends Neato Queen and Black Widow for episode 4 of Tnow Talks. Thank you so much for hopping on the show with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really excited to have both of you here today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Happy to have you here. Let's just jump right into it. I mean, obviously, most of the people watching this podcast should be familiar with both of you in the Rocket League community as streamers, but take us back to the beginning. How'd you start streaming, and what specifically got you into Rocket League as the main game of your streaming?
I guess I'll go ahead and start off here, but I started playing Rocket League way before I started streaming. Back at the end of season 2 was the first time I picked it up in my friend's house, and I just got hooked immediately. I ended up building a whole computer for it several months later, just so I could play Rocket League. And it wasn't until after I met Kevin, I was working as a manager at Starbucks, and he kind of convinced me to start out streaming, like to try it, because I always wanted to try it, but I never really I never took that step to do it because I wasn't confident enough in myself, I guess. So Kevin really helped me take that step, and then eventually he helped me take that step to decide to go full time. So that's how I got started, and it was always Rocket League. I mean, that was really the main game that I was playing at the time, and still continue to play. And it's the first game that I've gotten this invested in. Like, I've played all the Pokemon and Zelda games; those are my favorite series, but in one specific game, investing this amount of hours is like the first time I've ever did that. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
Wow.
Yeah, so mine was a little bit the opposite. I started streaming in December of 2018. And at the time I had started streaming because I'd wanted to for quite some time. I'd wanted to for a couple years, and it just never seemed the right fit. And I didn't have the right encouragement around me to do so, where anyone would, just didn't really think that it was something that would work for me. And then I got to a point where I was just like, hey, I'm kind of lonely, as weird as that sounds. I'm just kind of lonely a lot, and I'm sitting at home playing video games anyway. I heard that you can stream straight from your Xbox with no issue. You don't have to have a webcam. You don't have to have anything set up. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to hit go live. And I did, and it was just something that I really liked. And at the time, I was just playing all the games that I was playing anyway. I was playing Mortal Kombat. I was playing Injustice. I was dabbling, unfortunately, in a little bit of Fortnite at the time there. But I was just hopping around a couple games. And I wasn't really finding a game that I loved to just stream for a long time. And I knew that I wanted to invest more time into streaming. And at the time, I didn't have something that I just could really sit there and play for a long period of time that I just love to do and build a community around. And I was in a couple Discords of new Twitch streamers and things like that. And one of my friends had posted going live, playing a crazy game with my friends. And I clicked it, and I clicked over, and I thought it was the stupidest thing I had ever seen. They were really drunk, and they were having a lot of fun, but they were playing Rumble. And I was like, what is this? What is going on? There's a ball, and there's a spike, and the ball's now over there, and there's some teleporting and all of this. And they were like, and I was asking questions in the chat, and they were like, oh, there's a lot of normal modes that aren't just this. You should check it out. And I was just like, yeah, there's no way. But I was on Xbox at the time, and I was an Xbox streamer, and this was about a month into streaming. And so I got on Game Pass that night, and it happened to be on Game Pass, where you could play it if you were already paying for Game Pass for free. And so I downloaded it, and I streamed it the next day, and I instantly fell in love with it. It was just something that I wanted to get better at, and something that I wanted to keep playing. And that was a little over a year and a half ago, and we're a little over 2,200 hours in. So
Wow. Yeah, you both put quite a bit of time into Rocket League, and it's awesome to hear the origin story, I guess, of how you got into Rocket League and how you got into streaming. And, what's it like being a full-time streamer? Because, there's a lot of people out there who stream part-time or maybe have aspirations to be a full-time streamer. So what's it like once you're kind of doing that as your full-time gig?
It's hard work, but it's worth it. And I think, and I just recently kind of posted a rant about that, but it's what you put into it. And I think it's something that anyone can try if they want to. I just think that you need to go in and if you're wanting to try it, you need to try it because it's something that you want to do. I know that there's a lot of people who start streaming just because they're like, oh, I see that people make a lot of money or that people get a lot of followers, and they're not taking into account the people who don't make millions of dollars, which is the millions of other streamers. But for me, being a full-time streamer, as long as you know that it's something that you want to do and you're willing to put the time in, is so worth it. You get to meet so many amazing people and other content creators and communities, and it's something that for me at least caused me, a lot of people are stuck at home right now, and it's something that gets me out of bed every day. It's something that has me clean my room. It's something that has me take better care of myself and want to be a better, Rocket League player, and want to be a better streamer, and want to be a better friend to people in the community. And it is just, to me, it grew my social circle there, and it gave me something worth working towards every day. So I think that streaming is something that if people want to try, is something that they should do. It is hard work, but being a full-time streamer is so rewarding in more ways than just being able to pay your bills.
Yeah, as long as you put in that work, and I think it's a lot more work than people initially realize, because you have to constantly be putting 100% of yourself into everything that you do. But like Black Widow said, I am super grateful that that's an opportunity that I can even pursue, because it's just, you have to get to a certain point, I think, streaming, to be able to say, okay, am I going to dedicate 100% of myself to this? So I got to that point, or we got to that point, and we had to make that decision for ourselves. And it is a blessing, but it's also, it's not just playing games all day. There's just so much more that goes into it. Again, I've been introduced to some of my best friends and my fiance even through gaming and through being a part of a community that it's just so lucky to be included in. So yeah, it's really great. It is a lot of stress at times, more than I thought I would be getting myself into, but it's worth it. Like Widow said, it's definitely worth it.
It's scary. It's scary too.
It can be at times, yeah.
It can be very scary making that decision to go full time, but yeah.
Well, let's. I'm kind of flipping two of the questions here out of order, since it feels like the right time to talk about this. We're talking about everything that goes into streaming and what it's like once you go full time, and kind of how you started. So maybe give the viewers a little bit of an idea, if they want to get into streaming, what are some of the things they should think about, where should they start, and just kind of that first move that they need to make if they're thinking about trying to make a career out of this, or maybe even just thinking about trying to make it a little bit more of a, putting a little bit more effort into it as a hobby.
Yeah, I think if somebody wants to start streaming or has any inclination to want to stream at all, they should just do it, because you don't have to put, 100%. Like we said before, being full-time, it's like a full commitment, right? But just going live, that's a totally different situation, and being able to become a part of that streaming community is just as easy as just going live and taking that first step. And then once that gets started, you can figure out what your goals are going to be. I think that's really important, just having goals and realizing why it is you're streaming after getting into it and seeing if you really like it, because you're never going to know if it's something that you are actually going to enjoy doing as a career, even just for fun, something you do for a hobby after you get done with your day or whatever. But I think, the biggest thing is to always just try it out and always help yourself. Like, do the research you need to do. You know, there's lots of resources now on YouTube where you can go, and it has so much great advice for people who want to get into streaming. So it's all about just going live and then figuring out where to go from there.
Yeah, no, figuring it out is a big part of it. And a lot of people are scared to experiment, or a lot of people want to jump the gun when they jump into streaming. And yes, there are situations where people start streaming and it takes off for them very quickly, but that's not what's going to happen the majority of the time. What's going to happen the majority of the time is that you're going to need, before, I have so many people come into stream and they're like, well, I went live yesterday and I had 0 viewers. This just isn't for me. I don't know how I could do it. Clearly you don't know what it's like to have 0 viewers. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I started right where I am.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, no. And that's the thing, is you have to experiment. You have to figure out what works for you. You have to figure out what doesn't work for you. And that's the biggest thing, is that people just think that it's all going to be easy and that you figured it out first, or that they should just throw it at an expensive webcam or all this equipment and then it's just going to work. And then that's what makes the streamer. You don't know that, because you don't know what game you're going to be playing. You don't know what schedules work in the communities that you're trying to work in. Try different streams, try them at different times. If actually, like Neato said, you do the research. There are all of these tools and things that show exactly, you know, when people were in your stream, at what time, what going live notifications have worked for you, where your viewers came from, if they came from posts that you posted in Discord or on social media, or if they found you through, you know, just searching for you or through the discovery page, or all of this stuff. And nobody's utilizing it. Nobody's looking at that stuff. And also, there are so many people that aren't sharing it anywhere. They're not joining communities. They're not getting involved. They literally told no one that they're going live. They hit go live, and then they're like, why is no one here? Yeah. It's work, and it's just research, and it's figuring out what you want. It's trial and error, and that realizing and accepting and not letting it feel defeating that there's a lot more error in your trial and error.
Yeah. You know, that I think those are really good points. And, you know, within IGL, we have the mantra or the motto, just show up. And of course, that means to your matches, right? You got to show up and play your matches. But I like to look at that as pretty much applicable to anything, right? Like, if you just show up and you do it and you try it, you're going to learn, and eventually it's going to get you on the path that you need to go. Because we stream for IGL, and, you know, it's not our primary thing, right? The leagues are the primary thing, but man, those first streams for IGL, they were terrible. Oh, they were so bad. I mean, it was like, if you looked up like the worst streams in the history of streaming, we're at the top.
I doubt it.
They were bad. They were bad.
God,
but
you should see my first ones.
But that's the thing, is people don't realize, you know, if you don't just like try and put in a genuine effort, then you're never going to get to the having all the viewers and the followers, and people just, I completely agree with what you guys are saying, and it's neat to hear your story and kind of the advice you're giving to people who want to get started. And obviously you've both done really well for yourselves, and I love seeing it. You clearly put in a lot of work and know what you're doing. And one of the things that recently happened for both of you was the joining of Spacestation Gaming. So that's really exciting, a really cool move. They're making a lot of awesome moves here in the Rocket League community. So let's talk a little bit about Spacestation Gaming and kind of how that partnership happened and what it's like being a part of it.
I don't know about MJ, but when I first kind of got the hint that Space Station was trying to get more involved in Rocket League, it was through a message I got from Shonduras on Twitter months ago. Like, I think he wanted to put the idea in my head that something big was going to happen, and he wanted me to be prepared for it, but he didn't know what he wanted it to be yet. And he sat down, he had this conversation with Sunless and Mertzy, who were also on the org with them, and I think they came up with this idea of creating the Scuffed Crew, and just being under Spacestation Gaming and have them support us to do what we love. And the whole mission that Shonduras had was to become the coolest org in Rocket League. And I think he's done a really good job, and he's picked the best people to try and
yes,
get
he has.
to get there. So yeah, it is kind of a dream come true to be a part of Spacestation Gaming. I try and remind myself every day that I'm on Spacestation Gaming, because it still hasn't hit me that I'm on Spacestation Gaming. I think part of that is because we're all like at home still, and we've been at home for so long that we haven't been able to go out and interact with everybody on the org, like in LANs and stuff like that. But
Oh, I can't wait.
yeah. It's just it happened so fast, and in a way it was unexpected, but you know, I'm really proud of how far me and MJ. I remember going into MJ's first stream, and just being like, oh hey, there's another person playing Rocket League, you know, and just to see how far she's come and how far we've come just by dedicating that time to it. It's been really great to be a part of it.
Yeah. No. So I didn't get the really cool CEO DM message, but no, I got followed by Mercy, and I thought it was kind of random. But I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome. And then just a little while after, I got a DM. I got a DM that was just like, hey, we are, you know, it was still very much in the, we're potentially looking to do things with content creators. And we think you'd be a great fit, and we would love to talk to you and tell you more about it. And get you involved there. And I thought it was a prank. I had to go back to his profile multiple times and be like, is this really, you know, Mercy? Is this really real? And he was like, I know you know Sunless and things like that. And the call would be with him. And then I started feeling a little bit more comfortable, you know? I swear to God, for like a couple, like up until I had the phone call, probably up until I joined the phone call, I thought it was going to be some prank YouTube video.
Now there's an I don't tell Sunless about that, because that would, like, he could do that.
Oh no,
for
that's so mean. That's so mean. But I thought it was some prank. I thought but it just didn't feel real. And it's not that I thought that they were mean. It's just that, kind of like Neato said, you have to pinch. Just I still also need to pinch myself to feel like this is real. Space Station is such a great org, and there's just this feeling that comes with, as a content creator, having any org reach out to you and be like, hey, we think what you're doing is good enough for you to represent us, not just them represent you. It's really easy for an org to go, hey, we'll represent you. I don't think content creators who are looking really understand the feeling of they're wanting you to represent them. And that is the greatest thing. They think that the content that you put out is something good too, that if someone's clicking through, be a representation of their org and their content. And it is phenomenal. And being a part of it with so many of my best friends and so many people that I have admired and looked up to, including Neato, so many people that I have admired and looked up to in the Rocket League community, and going, hey, we're all a part of something great. And we're all a part of something big that I really think is going to do a lot in the Rocket League community in the upcoming months and years to come. And it is a dream. It is an absolute dream.
I just think it's crazy how basically when we were given those talks and stuff like that, it was one of those moments where I even realized more that what I was doing was the right thing. And they even told me, like,
yeah,
we're doing this because we see the potential in your content. Not that, you know, you guys are the biggest content creators in the world and you guys are getting all the views right now, but what you can become, and then seeing that you're on the right track and having those people believe in you is such a great feeling.
It's insane, because when you look at the two people who brought all of us on, it's Sunless and it's Mercy. And when you look at the person who started Space Station, it's Shonduras. And all of the content creators they have in their other games. And for those people to be like, hey, we think that you can grow into something awesome, and we believe in you enough that we want to support it and help it, and that we see what you're already doing well and what it can become, is the most unreal feeling in the world.
That's great. Yeah, it's. I mean, they seem like just such a fantastic organization, and we had Sunless on the first episode, and we're talking with him a little bit about it, and obviously a lot of people that have been involved in the IGL community, like both you and Tryhouse and Sunless and others. You know, John are now involved with Spacestation Gaming. So I told Sunless, you know, on episode 1, if you guys are ever looking for a little league for the Scuffed crew, just hit me up. We got you there. we got
That's
you there.
definitely an idea.
But yeah, getting back here to the last question about streaming before we kind of dive into some other topics. Obviously, you're both on the road to partner. You've been putting a lot of effort towards getting there. I guess tell us a little bit about that process and kind of the things that you're doing to make that push, which you both deserve it, by the way. And everybody knows that besides Twitch, but you guys can tell us a little bit about what the process is right now.
It's called going insane.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of that, but it's a lot of self-reflection and just realizing that the road to partner, I personally don't like that because it makes you feel like the end of the road is partner, and that is not where your headspace should be when you're streaming and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of people have that headspace where they're like, I just have to get to partner. And there's a lot of things that come with partner. You get extra emote slots and more ad. I don't know if you get more ad revenue or not, but it's that check mark, right? That verification that's really big. It allows you to open doors and opportunities and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you just have to constantly be improving, like, on your own content and just trying to make things work, because I really do believe, like you said, at the end of the day, MJ and I are going to get partner. We are on the right track. We are doing everything in our power to do that. It's just a matter of continuing to grow and not letting it affect us. You know, I think we both have applied around 6 or 7 times. I think this is my 6th time.
Yeah. I've been waiting for about a month and a half.
Yeah, and this one has taken the longest, I think. I have been just like kind of waiting on that response, but it, like MJ said, it can be a little, like, can make you go a little crazy because you just want that tension to release. I want to be verified, and I want to just have to 100% focus on my growth and my content, I guess, so I can see why people want to just kind of, like, not get it over with in a negative way, but also just to not have to worry about it and let your, you know, content speak for itself and your growth continue from there. But I've just been trying my best to always constantly improve on my content and be grateful every step of the way, because there are streams nowadays, and I've had to take a step back. There are streams nowadays where, let's say, I get 65 viewer average, and me right now, sometimes I'm like, God dang. But I also look back, way back when I first started streaming, and I think to myself, those numbers are still really incredible. Like, you can't let yourself
top 1%.
Yeah, you can't let yourself feel bad about the stream that you just had because of a certain statistic, because it will eventually get there and you will eventually see that growth, but it won't get there if you let that hinder you. So I've just been trying really hard to constantly be grateful, and if I feel like something is slowing down, I'm not questioning anybody else but myself, and just trying to improve upon that, and okay, I'll get there, and we'll get there eventually. Like, that's like the biggest thing for me, is that it is just like a stepping stone, like any other thing, like getting affiliate and every other thing. It's not my end game, it's not our end game, but it would be really nice, and it's just a matter of time before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is really easy to let yourself feel defeated, and when in terms of waiting to get partner, and it's something you really have to get out of your head, because like Neato said, it's not your end game, it's a stepping stone to opportunities. And there are a lot of people who think that, oh, you just want to get partner, done. I literally had somebody 2 days ago in my stream go, you want to get partner because it's salaried, right? Every partner gets $5,000 a month, right? No.
Oh, wish. Boy,
yeah, right? Oh my God. We calculated it in chat. Twitch would be paying out like 700 or like 70 million a month.
Jet
for every
could do it.
partner, if that was the case.
Yeah.
No, but I think people have a big misconception of what partner is. And like was addressed, you get more emote slots and you get a higher cut of your tier 2 and tier 3 subs and things like that. But you get that check mark, and that check mark it's verified, and it's the same across as it is on all social media. But really with Twitch, it is a check mark that goes, hey, we recognize your hard work. And again, that org feeling, it's them going, we think you're good enough to represent this very small group of people. We think you're good enough to be a person, but you have to be careful with that sentence, because a Twitch seeing you as good enough to be a part of partners does not mean you are not good enough at everything else. And that's where it can get defeating, and it can get saddening. And sometimes after you get those couple rejection letters, they really get into your head. They really get into your head, because you're like, hey, if everyone keeps telling me I'm doing everything right, and that I deserve to be partner, or that I am doing all these other things. And if I'm really a really good streamer, why don't I have it? But you have to remember, kind of on a note of what Neato said, with those numbers that you're getting, even if you're getting them and you're not getting it, you are in the top 1% of Twitch. At those numbers, if you are capable of applying for partner, you're in the top 1% of streamers on Twitch. And that is something that is humbling, and that is something that I cannot stop being grateful for. To get there in the first place, to be able to apply, is such a huge thing, that you have a community that you've built and you've worked hard for, that got you to that point. And it's something that you have to remember in the process. And like Neato said, we'll get there. We really will. And I know that we will. And everyone's path is different. An important thing is to not compare yourself to people who got there shorter or people who got there longer, and to remind yourself that this is so many people's dreams, and that being able to click that apply button in the first place is just awesome.
Yeah. It's great to hear the positivity from both of you, which, I mean, if you tune into either one of your streams, that's kind of what we would expect, right? You're both very positive individuals, and it's great to hear your perspective on kind of how that process has been, things you're thinking about, and the hard work you're putting into all your streams. So I've got a couple specific questions now for each of you. We'll start with MJ here. Talk about your challenge of streaming every single day here in 2020. I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but what made you start that challenge, and give us a little bit about how that's been going, and I guess which day are we on here today as well?
Today, because I'll be going live soon, because it's an everyday thing. Today is day 207. We have streamed 207 days in a row, every single day of 2020. I will make one big preface to this entire thing that I'm very grateful for. I had no idea when I said that starting January 1st, I was going to do a 1-year challenge, on a leap year with an extra day, that 2020 was going to be what 2020 is. I picked one heck of a year. To do a 1-year challenge. But I did it because I was constantly looking for things to push myself with, and push my channel with, and push my growth with. I was for quite some time in there, before the 1-year challenge, doing super ridiculously long streams and long weeks. I had in November completed the 100-hour challenge, where I streamed 100 hours in a week. I'd done a bunch of 24-hour streams, and I learned, because as we were saying earlier, you're always wanting to put 100% of yourself forward, that I wasn't necessarily performing my best constantly doing longer in one day. And I wanted to find something that would help grow my channel, that I could still put the hours into, that I could still constantly put the work that I'm wanting to put into Rocket League and streaming. And I was just like, hey, heck, why not start a 1-year challenge? I'm roommates. I live in a streamer house, and I'm roommates, and my boyfriend, King Ranny, he had done one. He had done a 6-month challenge before, and he'd done a 1-year challenge before. That probably ended a couple months before I met him. And so when I had the idea, I talked to him about it, and he did talk to me about many of the things that I am experiencing myself. There's burnout, there's bad days. There's a lot of bad days in 2020, but there's things that just kind of make you not want to stream that day, but you also learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of, and pushing the limits of what you're, capable of when it comes to streaming. It also allows you to step outside the box with your streams. Say if, you'd gotten into a certain routine, that routine shifts when you're not taking days off, or when you're, when you're streaming on a day that you not necessarily would, or that you don't necessarily want to. But I'm really grateful for it. This community has grown so much during this challenge. I've met so many new people because I've experimented with different times that I'm going live, because, I'm streaming every day. So it doesn't really hurt as much to experiment with the times that I'm going live. I've gotten to meet so many other content creators. I joined Spacestation Gaming. And all of this during this 1 year challenge. And we've encouraged, and we've, our 1 year challenge has literally encouraged other content creators to start 1 year challenges, or month challenges, or 30-day challenges. And there's so many people who've been seeing you stream every day has encouraged me to start streaming. And those feelings are irreplaceable. Knowing that there are people who come back every day, or that there are people that you're inspiring to try just because they've seen you, they've wanted to for a long time and they never did, and now they'll do it because they've seen you do it every single day.
Yeah, dude, you inspire me. Every time you go live, I'm like, she's doing, I can do it.
I had someone, and not to rant too long, I had someone message me a little while ago, and say, hey, is there any advice you can give? Because I see you constantly having this energy and not dealing with any burnout, and just constantly being able to do these long streams, or stream every day. How do you do it? How do you go in with such a positive mood? And I'll synopsize the thing that I said. It is dangerous to imply that there is no burnout involved with doing something like a 1 year challenge. There is. And it is not something that you want to do lightly, and it's not something that I advise. And I have people go, should I start my stream with a 1 year challenge? No. Absolutely not.
That would be heartbreaking.
You should experiment, and you should go in, and you should get comfortable with streaming and comfortable with yourself, and know that that is something that you are willing to try. There is going to be burnout. And there is, but I am fortunate enough to have an org and a community, and the Rocket League community in general, that gives me energy and keeps me going every day during it. And I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I might change some things about 2020, but I wouldn't change anything about this 1 year challenge. I'm really grateful to be doing it.
That's great. Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting year, that's for sure. But maybe when it's all said and done, you'll look back and be like, This was exactly what I needed this year, the 1 year challenge. So it's great to hear about it, and definitely some good insight if people are thinking about doing various streaming challenges themselves as well. Neato, getting to your specific question here is getting into the realm of TikTok, because we've seen you've been doing a lot on there. Yeah, I mean, you're. How does that content vary from the streams? How are you using that platform to market yourself? Talk us a little bit about the awesome content that you're putting out there on TikTok.
First of all, thank you. I appreciate that content. Awesome content on TikTok. Definitely few and far between. There's just so many people on that application, and the algorithm that it uses, the discoverability that you have on that platform, is a little bit ridiculous. If you are intelligent in the way that you gain your following on that app, you can end up transferring a lot of people from that growth to your other social media platforms. And that's kind of what my goal with TikTok was from the beginning. I don't want it to be my main platform. TikTok in itself, as far as content goes, in its fine print, it tells you TikTok basically has ownership of the content you make on TikTok. So the smartest thing you can do from TikTok is try and transfer that exposure to my other social media platforms. So that's what I'm trying to do. I like TikTok. I think that I struggle with constantly uploading because I don't want to sacrifice the quality of my content for the quantity, but TikTok rewards quantity sometimes. It'll actually like when people are posting all the time, and signal boost those posts, and you can gain a lot of more following that way. So it is definitely I'm using it as a tool to grow my community, and there are different levels of blowing up on TikTok, but it's helped. I honestly think that anybody who's trying to grow their social medias should at least try TikTok and see if they can transfer some of their, even if you're just transferring some of your stream clips over to the TikTok platform. It's one of those things that it just helps. And I don't know if I'll. Part of me is like, there's been all this controversy with TikTok and data and all this other stuff. So I have had like this back and forth of whether or not I'm going to continue to pursue using that app. But at the end of the day, it's like so many apps are collecting data and whatever. And I'm just kind of vibing on TikTok. I don't know. It's definitely a lucrative platform for people to use to grow their audiences, but I don't think it's like super necessary. And I think depending on the type of content you're getting into, you can use it to help you. Or I think it is what it is. I don't have like a huge want to grow on TikTok because it's kind of intimidating almost, because I'm telling you, it's like the whole world is looking at something that goes viral, and it can be really overwhelming. Obviously when you're getting into streaming and stuff like that, that's kind of the end goal. But it's definitely something that I'm doing sort of to help promote my streams and stuff like that, and I recommend people try it out for sure. But to be honest, like when I first got TikTok, I used that app way too much, and it took a lot of my time because I'm a full-time streamer, so I organized my own schedules. I would find myself scrolling through TikTok for like an hour or more, and it took a lot of my time. So it's dangerous that there's so much content on there that you can kind of get sucked into it and want to be involved in it and be a part of it for like fully and ingrain yourself into it. But otherwise, I just see it as something I do for fun, and something I suggest other people just check it out and maybe try it out for fun too and see how it goes.
Definitely. That's funny you mentioned kind of getting lost in it and scrolling through for a while, because I've never used it, but my girlfriend had it for a while, and that's the reason she uninstalled it from her phone, is because she just found herself it's overwhelming. It's just endless scrolling, and there's so much entertainment.
Right. It's so much content. And it's so much shorter. Like, it's harder to like flip through like streams that much, you know what I mean, or YouTube. But with TikTok, it ends, and then you're like, okay, where's more, and you don't realize that you've just been scrolling for hours.
And a lot of people really liked Vine back in the day too, so it's kind of like a new, it's not the same thing, but for people who enjoyed that, they definitely, I'm sure, found a lot of fun with the TikTok platform. But getting back to Rocket League here, I'm sure you've talked about this plenty amongst friends, viewers, whoever it may be, but what do you think about the new RLCS X format and kind of what it means for competitive Rocket League players?
More lands.
I think, yes, more lands, but I love the changes into allowing more teams to have opportunities. Yes. And I think it's really awesome I think there was, and that's what they're addressing here, but I just think that with the old formats, there was a disconnect.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be, the bubble players, and there was a disconnect with them of being able to get involved. And it's defeating when you look at other esports that gave more opportunities for smaller or not already RLCS level or well into RLRS, to get involved in more tournaments and more opportunities. And why invest your time if there's no compensation or room for growth, or something that's showing me, hey, this is something that I could do. This is there wasn't enough opportunity for them to play and get better and make it seem worthwhile. And that I think that's my favorite change, outside of more lands, which I'm so excited for when all of this craziness is over. But really, a more opportunity for younger players or players who haven't had that chance to just, break through that wall yet. With the new tournaments and with the new formats and with everything going on, there's opportunities for them to play. There's opportunities for them to get involved. There's opportunities that show them, hey, this is something that I could pursue.
Right, and what you're doing is worth your time. There's so many like really, really, really high level Rocket League players that I feel like it kind of changed the mindset of top players to be kind of negative in the way that they weren't getting recognition for their talents because of this lack of opportunity. So I think that having more lands and more opportunities, having this fall, winter, springs, constantly having a circuit that is going on and several majors throughout the year. Yeah, like it gives these kids that are playing this game for thousands and thousands of hours a little bit of hope. And then they have I believe that they have their, was it the field that has all the divisions, and you don't have to be a top Rocket League player to try your hand at getting involved in the competitive sports. Yeah. So I think it's amazing what they decided to finally sit down and take the time to reformat and give us what literally all of us have been asking for since this game came out, which is just more competitive Rocket League and more ways to watch it and more ways to be able to go, and the fact that there are going to be so many more lands in different locations where hopefully more and more people around the US, the UK, and maybe even South America and stuff like that, just
and OCE
getting involved and going and seeing Rocket League live and taking their parents and their, just everybody to go and see that Rocket League is and can be the best esport in the world. It just has that potential. So hopefully that's what the implications are for this new format.
And it came just in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just in time for free to play, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, we were just talking about trying to share Rocket League with as many people as possible. This kind of seems like a good way to do that.
I've been talking about this literally since the second it happened, because like when I talk about implications, the implications of Rocket League going free to play are so huge. I mean, we saw what it did to Fortnite. Like, we saw how many people I've been trying to emphasize, like, there's going to be such a huge influx of new users that all of them are going to have different motives for joining the game, and it's really important for us as the player base right now, just not to gatekeep and to just kind of be really understanding, because no matter what that door is for people, whether it's, hey, there's a creator code now, or hey, it's free to play so I can try it out, whatever, no restrictions, we should be able, they might actually end up falling in love with this game regardless of why they got started with it, and it being a really big part of their life and changing it just like it changed all of our lives here. So I think it's just really incredible that there are going to be so many new faces in Rocket League, and I hope that we can just take them all in with open arms. And there's I already know there's this little unborn squishy muffins that hasn't touched the game yet, and he's gonna pick it up one day and then never put it down, and might become the best Rocket League player in the world just because it went free to play.
I'm picturing an unborn squishy muffin.
I'm sorry, I don't know why that was the thing that came into my head. But when I think about somebody who their origins in this game and how it came up and how he just kind of bought it when it came out and never put it down again, essentially, there's going to be so much more of that happening now that it's gone free to play, that even the competitive scene is going to blow up. So it'll be really awesome.
I have been wanting this for so long, and seeing it finally happen. I don't think people, if you have a basic knowledge of Rocket League, you know that it's big. You know that free to play is big, but I don't think people fully grasp everything this is doing for every corner of Rocket League, from, like you just said, bringing in new players, people who've never had the opportunity to play, who can't necessarily purchase a game or want to spend $20 on a game that they don't know if they're going to like, that's been around for 5 years. You know what I mean? It's going to grow the player base. It's going to bring more people in right after we just changed the format to RLCS, right after they just got a $4.5 million prize pool that people can look at and take very seriously, right after all of this content is blowing up. So it's huge for, the Rocket League esport. It's huge in taking Rocket League esport seriously and moving it to that next step of finally becoming the tier 1 that it deserves to be. But it's also huge for, the Twitch or YouTube or streaming communities. It's huge for for the content creators who have been creating content. I talked about this before, but there's levels of where you see of people peaking on things, and there's levels of growth in what people think are big in terms of a streamer, or what people think are, you know, saturated in terms of streaming. Like when you look at Rocket League, the top creators are getting, you know, 100 to 1,000 views in that range, but and then the esports players, you know, are getting 200 or 2,000 to 5,000, and the only people bringing in those mega numbers are Rocket League as itself, as it's growing. Just a side swipe though, we're getting at peak last season, we were getting around 100, you know, like 80 to 100,000 viewers. Imagine the viewers that Rocket League's about to get during RLCS now. But yeah. There's just so, you think that that's large. There's going to be so much more opportunity for the content creators that are already established in the community, for people who are wanting to break into being a content creator in the community. With having this many more people, they're going to be more alert and more aware and more cognizant of issues going on with the servers, with issues that go on in the game. They're going to be fixing them quicker because it's going to be available for more people, and they're going to have to be on top of it more. You're going to have content creator codes for creators. You're going to have more content getting uploaded to YouTube. You're going to have more people getting involved. Like, it is literally, it could go on for hours and hours and hours, that everything that this is bringing to Rocket League, but it's huge. And I know that there are downsides, and I know that people are like, oh, there's going to be more Smurfs. And I think those people literally forget that the largest player base on Rocket League is console at the moment, and it's not PC. And if you're on console, you already had the capability of creating unlimited accounts. And so that might upgrade, you know, a little bit in the PC sense, but that's a part of a game. That's something that I hope can eventually be fixed. I hope that we can eventually get, you know, a ranking system in to where you have to play X amount of hours or X amount of games before you can play ranked and things there. But the positive of everything coming from free to play so outweighs any of the negative. I am so excited for this change, and I cannot wait for it to happen. We are almost there.
I'm right there. I'm right there with both of you. I think it's fantastic for the game. Personally, just from like a player perspective, Rocket League isn't like one of my top games to play personally, but in my opinion, it's without a doubt should be and can be the number one esport possibly of all time.
It is modeled after the number one sport in the entire world. Like,
yep.
I told the story the last time I was talking about it, but when I first went to DreamHack Dallas, I took my mom for the first time to see, like, what am I doing? Like, to tell her, you know, hey mom, I'm not just sitting at home playing video games all day. There's lots of people that pay money to go see this stuff, you know? You know, I sat her down and we watched G2 playing against I don't know who, and she immediately knew what was going on, immediately started rooting for Chicago because she's from Chicago, so she just like picked on Chicago, but she knew whenever Chicago had an assist or when he was scoring a goal. Like, it's so easy, you know, for my mother, who, you know, she played video games when she was when I was growing up too. So, but yeah, just to have those eyes on the game and to be able to see it and be like, wow, I get what's going on, and I can just go and try this out. That's awesome. Like, and at home, great, you know. So yeah, hopefully we will see it get to the top, because again, like I said, I really believe it has that potential.
Yeah,
I think so as well. And
so many people play Rocket League that people don't realize though. Because it's not as talked about as, you know, some of the other games, and people can rip on Fortnite all that they want, and I don't play it. It's just not my thing anymore. But you cannot deny what Fortnite did for esports, and you can't deny what Fortnite did for putting gaming and esports in the mouths of people at home who didn't know about it, because now they knew about it because of Ninja and merchandising and everything happening around there. Like, you can't deny that that was a thing, and that it got involved, and that is what Epic created. And so for as much as people can rip on or things there, I'm so excited to see what Epic's capabilities can bring to, you know, to just elevate what Psyonix is working so hard on.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, you know, we're obviously all really invested and involved with the esports community, the Rocket League community. But like my brother, he loves playing Rocket League. And if I went up to him and was like, hey, did you hear about Squishy Muffins? He would be like, well, what the hell are you talking about? You know, like, he loves playing Rocket League. He plays it all the time. but he's not, he's not on Twitter. He's not watching RLCS, but he's just enjoying the game because it's so much fun. We like playing it together.
That's most of the player base. I think the community online forgets about that there's so many casual players, and that's who I was before I met Kevin, and he introduced me. He introduced me to Johnny Boy, and that's my first dip my toes into competitive Rocket League. So that's why I'm a 1v1 player, by the way. But,
Legend.
So just to be able to know about the pros and stuff like that and have that exposure, it will definitely change how the game is seen in people's heads and just how gaming is seen in people's heads. But yeah, no, it will be, hopefully we'll see it just grow, the casual player base too. That's the overall hopes of this.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. And that's where I was as well. I was pretty casual before I started IGL. And I guess speaking of that, obviously both of you have been working with us for a little while now, have the franchises. I know Neato played in the last circuit. Talk a little bit about your experience with IGL, how you found out about us, and maybe if you have played or even if you haven't, kind of what your thoughts are on what it's like competing in an esports league versus maybe just playing online and ranked.
Yeah, I saw Neato. I saw Neato and Tryhouse and all of them posting about IGL. And I had a lot of people in my community going, hey, I'm playing in IGL and all of this and asking questions, and it always seemed so cool. And then I had Jackie, absolute queen,
Yes.
Jackie reach out and just be like, hey, so many people that you're friends with are involved and we think you'd be a great fit for this. And so this season for me, because I'm too scared to hop into anything competitive yet, besides playing Rocket League every day.
Right.
This season for me is more just, creating a franchise and getting my community involved with it. And I'm really, really, really happy to be a part of some people doing so much work for the Rocket League community. I think you guys are doing great. And I think you guys have, way before, formats started changing, we're giving opportunities for people to play.
True.
And I think you guys are doing awesome.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing something like this. It's awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, I would emphasize to people in my community, if you are struggling with ranked and you still want to get better at this game, but you want to have a competitive feeling behind it without having to worry about the randoms online, because I think of right now that's a big stressor for some people. They'll go and play ranked and they get overwhelmed in one game with one teammate who is having a bad day and taking it out on everybody else, and it kind of discourages them from believing in themselves. So having a circuit like this has been really awesome. I played the 1v1 circuit the first season I was with you guys, and it helped me just kind of have a competitive mindset, again, without having to worry about my ranking. And then that just helps me improve, but also doesn't put a lot of strain on my mental health. So it's just a great place, and it's so cool to see my community come together and asking each other to be a part of their teams, and then they're a part of my franchise. And I get really excited when they win and they tell me, and I'm proud. So it's nice, and it provides another layer of interaction with me and my community where I feel like they are representing my community and they feel really good about it. So, and even when they don't come out on top, they have that moment of hey, we did something under the Neato franchise. So it's like MJ said, it's really awesome that you guys take the time to, and all the care you put into growing IGL. And I think the first time I heard about you guys, I saw Sunless involved with it, but the first time I was like, wow, these guys really care. I remember Sunless had a tornado, I think it was, hit his residence, and he couldn't work from home because his internet was down, and you guys provided him with an office. And I thought that was so cool. I don't know. It's just one of those things where there's so many different organizations involved in gaming. When you see one, that somebody with such a large following immediately is like, hey, this is a cool thing, I'm vouching for them, right? But then at the end of the day, you're also vouching for him and helping him out when and obviously you're not going to be able to get all of those offices if our internet goes down, but it was just that act of kindness where I immediately got the feeling oh, this is a group of people that care about gaming and want to see the best from that. So that's why I decided to take the leap into joining you friends. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. And Sunless has been with us from the very beginning. We're both located in Indiana, and he reached out to us when we first started 2.5 years ago, and at the time he had about 60,000 YouTube subs, and he just thought it was cool that we were starting a league in his home state. True. Basically. And we've obviously gotten to know him very well over the years, and I mean, you both know him. He's just such a fantastic guy, really cares about the Rocket League community, really does a lot to help people, and we've been fortunate to work with people like him and people like yourselves, and it's been a really great journey, and we're just getting started, so we're excited to keep it going here. And even though IGL is just getting started, the podcast is just finishing up here. We're on the last segment of the show where we ask you the questions from our last week's guests. So last week we had a professional Brawlhalla player named Koslix, and his question is awesome for what he posed for both of you here this week. So his question is, if you can be trapped in any video game, what would it be? And like any level, and I guess explain why you picked that video game or level or whatever it may be.
This is a tough one. I'm thinking back to... Because I'm thinking I probably want to spend some time in a Zelda game. You know, maybe Breath of the Wild. Karkari, I think it's Karkariko. I always mispronounced it because I mispronounced it the first time I ever read it, and then it's over. It's downhill from there. You know, anywhere in Breath of the Wild, I think would be really beautiful. I guess post after Link saves the entire Hyrule. I can live in Hyrule, you know. That'd be a nice place to live in a video game. Otherwise, you know, if I could just chill in the stands of Utopia Coliseum for the rest of my days, I think I would be okay.
Turn us into eggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really had to think about this one because a lot of the games that I grew up playing are not necessarily worlds I would want to be stuck in. Like, I really, really loved Mortal Kombat growing up, but I don't want to die repeatedly and just be forced to fight constantly and then die. And so I really think if say we're getting all of the abilities of this world, as crazy as it sounds, I would love to be in Mario Kart. I would love to just race constantly, but not worry about getting demoed as I would in Rocket League. Just constantly racing and having fun. Yeah. I think I'd just go Mario Kart and just go in loops for the rest of my life.
I like it. There's some solid answers there. I guess a little bonus question, since a couple references to Rocket League there and the egg people. Do you think that if you were in Rocket League and you're like driving the cars, are you an egg person, or do you think there's actually people moving around in there?
I always had the idea that Rocket League was completely in like a simulation, and well, that's literally just being a video game. Then all the people in the stands are like in VR people, and then the people in the cars would be eggs then, but the eggs are controlled by people, which are us.
Ooh, interesting.
Man.
Yeah, because I'm imagining being in a car that does a flip reset, and that just, if you're an egg, you're a scrambled egg. So I always see how you saw it as VR. I always saw it as like remote control, like RC cars, that there are people out there just like, so like if you're in that world and you're doing it, you're controlling it with an RC car.
Like you're in
but I assume if you are
stadium and you're like watching over it, like as if you're playing Rocket League almost. But.
Could you imagine just like hovering above? There's my car. Can I make it do it from this angle? That is an odd angle to try to control a car
but that's
from.
why you have the VR, so your egg person is in there, and it's literally like I'm describing it as if it's just what esports is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, essentially.
So as if we are sitting behind a computer screen with a controller.
The only difference is that the RC cars and everything in the stadium is like physically in the world, and it's actually happening.
And that you're an egg.
And you're an egg.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, what questions do you have for next week's guest? Again, since you don't know who's going to be on the show. We'll just keep it kind of general, gaming related, anything along those lines. And they'll get the double here because they'll get one question from each of you.
Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to think.
This is the tough one. This is the tough part of the show here.
And they're not necessarily Rocket League. Did the Brawlhalla guy know that we were Rocket League?
No, he did not.
Okay. So I'll keep it non-Rocket League related. If you could play one game for 2,000 hours, what would it be? That's my question.
If you could go back to when you first picked up your favorite game, what would you tell yourself?
Ooh, these are good ones. I'll have to figure out which order to put them in for maximum effect for next week's guest. But I appreciate both of you being on the show today. We really enjoy working with both of you. I know a lot of people in the IGL community love your content and love tuning into those streams. So thank you for everything that you do for both IGL and for the Rocket League community in general. And it's been a real pleasure talking to both of you today.
Yo,
Thank you again.
Thank you for
inviting us.
Yeah, happy to do it. So just wrapping up here. Again, of course, we appreciate having Neato Queen and Black Widow here on the show. Make sure you check out their Twitch and socials in the description below. Give them a follow if you aren't already following them. Keep up with the latest happenings in IGL via our socials in the description as well. And be sure to subscribe. We're going to have another guest next week, so make sure you tune in for next week's episode. Thanks for tuning in to episode 4 of Tnow Talks. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and enable notifications so that you know when we're releasing new videos here on the channel. Make sure you tune in next week for another episode of Tnow Talks. We'll see you then.